Good morning, guys. You will never believe this. It actually snowed this morning. Just a little bitty bit, but it did snow. I was really surprised. And it's like 30 degrees, and it's supposed to get down to like 25 today and snow again. It didn't snow a lot, obviously, but there was a little bit on my car, and of course, my child was very excited. So that's exciting. Um, but anyways, aside from the snow, I want to talk about robotic affirming and saturation. Now, of course, if you followed me, you kind of know that that's my method. That's the tool I use to help me get into the state. So I want to talk about that. What saturation is exactly what robotic affirming is, but I'm sure most of you guys already know, but I'm gonna go over it anyways. And then just how it works for me. And I just have the assumption that that's the best method for me. I enjoy it too. I enjoy robotically affirming because obviously I feel like it's the only method that you can really truly do anywhere, anytime. Like you could do it in the shower while you're driving, in bed while you're doing dishes, while you're doing any idle thing, walking the dog, taking out the trash. You can do it at work. You can absolutely do it at work. Now, of course, visualization you can do most places anywhere, but not exactly like affirming, especially like if you like to focus when you visualize. You actually like to focus and see the scene, then it's not something that you can do everywhere like affirming. But robotic affirming has definitely been the tool that has helped me manifest every single thing. And I talk a lot about how robotic affirming helps you persist in the new story. In my experience, this may not be everybody's experience, but it might be some of y'all's experience with it. You will be actively choosing a new identity. You will be affirming for a new story, no matter what it is. I know most of the time it's SP, so we'll say, if you're affirming me and SP are together. Me and SP are together, we're back together, we're in contact again, whatever you're affirming for. You might be affirming that, and then you might notice yourself if you stop consciously affirming that, you stop robotically affirming that, you might tend to go back to the old story. The ego might come in and be like, hey, that's not true. You know we don't believe that. That's not what we believe. Nothing's happened. You're not in contact. You might feel like a liar. You might feel like what you're affirming is fake, false, very untrue, and it could be very frustrating. But for me, that's how it was for me. But the repetition definitely helped me to dissolve the old story, the logical ego thoughts. It's okay if you acknowledge them, if you're aware of them. Just don't identify with them. Don't accept them as true. That's all. That's all you gotta do. Don't accept them as true. Don't be like, oh, well, this is what I'm thinking, so it's gonna manifest. No, the thoughts you persist in manifest. Not every single thought is going to manifest. That's not how it works, guys. If that was the case, the world would be chaotic. It would be an absolute freaking mess if every single thought we had were to manifest. It's the ones you persist in. The ones you persist in, those dominant thoughts, they become dominant thoughts, and then those create assumptions, and then those assumptions get reflected. But, robotic affirming the repetition does help dissolve the old story, the resistance, the doubts, the fears. In my experience, there were times I still experienced them up until I got my desire, but I definitely noticed that they had decreased on the journey. While I was manifesting something, they had definitely decreased, and it did help me. One thing I really like to do with robotic affirming is I downloaded the Parrot app, I recorded my affirmation, and I would just put my headphones in throughout the day and listen to them. Like, especially if I was at work, there were times I could have my headphones in, so I'd put those in. I'd listen to it in the car sometimes. That's not something you have to do. That's just what I preferred to do. Just because it disciplined me, because there were times I didn't want to think in my favor. There were just times I didn't want to do it. So that was one way to help me stay disciplined and persist in the new story that I wanted to experience, was listening to my recorded affirmations on the Parrot app. Again, it's not something you have to do. It's okay. But with that specific manifestation, my mind was definitely constantly going back to the old story of, you don't have this. This is what's happening in your reality. So that's just something that really helped me. And that's also what saturation is, pretty much. Even if it's like a 10-minute session, okay, that's a 10-minute saturation session. You're just filling your mind up with the same affirmation. It doesn't even have to be affirming. It could be, scripting. You're saturating by scripting or visualizing, just whatever. You are saturating your mind with the preferred outcome of what you want to experience. So I usually do that with robotic affirming. So when I would put my headphones in, I wouldn't exactly focus on them. I would do other things while doing it. Like, obviously, I had a life to live. I still had things to do. I'm a mom. I work. Like, I have my business. I do other things. I have family. I have friends. I have, I have other things to do. So I'm not just going to sit around all day, saturating my mind 24/7. But with the headphone thing, it did help me. It helped me a lot, because I'd be able to have it in while I'm cooking dinner, while I'm doing laundry, while I'm cleaning, anything. Like I said, while I was at work, I would also do it if I was able to. It's just about, you don't exactly have to have a routine like I've talked about. I did not have a routine. I was not trying to force myself to do a certain routine. I was disciplined, though, that if I started thinking against my desire, I would return back to it. I would return back to my desire. Like, your mind is a child. So anytime you start going back to those thoughts you don't want to experience, you gently bring it back. That's all. You just gently redirect and reaffirm. But I like saturation because it definitely, when I'm saturating, I don't even have time to think about the old story. I don't. I've saturated for 7 hours before, and I know you're probably like, whoa, what? It's not like I just sat in a room for 7 hours whispering in a dark corner to myself like a freaking crazy person. That's not what I did. I put my headphones in. I had recorded my affirmations on the Parrot app, put my headphones in, and I was just listening to that while I was watching TV, playing video games, cleaning, doing laundry, giving my child a bath, taking care of the cats, whatever, taking out the trash. I was still doing things that I needed to do, answering emails and stuff like that. Poppy, my cat's being a menace right now. He's being a menace. Poppy baby, stop it. He's playing in my daughter's toys. But anyways, yeah, it's not like you don't have to do that. You don't if you don't want to. But that's just kind of how I saturate. I will just put my head. You can saturate with subliminals, sleep tapes, rampages on YouTube. If that's what you want to do, that's the same thing. That's okay. You're just saturating your mind with the desired outcome of whatever you want to experience. That's all it is. So you can absolutely, that's my cheat code to manifesting. If somebody asked me the other night for a cheat code, I guess that was my cheat code, was just listening to pre-recorded affirmations, sleep tapes. I made that my sleep tape also. I would also listen to it at night. But you could just, High Frequency Guru, I like her pretty good. There's probably some others, but I know that one's probably the most popular one that I'm aware of at the moment, is High Frequency Guru. Okay, saturate your mind with one of her rampages. There's your cheat code. There's your cheat code. And I do like the fact that it's not my own voice. I'm not a fan of listening to my own voice. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. I obviously have gotten used to it, listening to my own voice, but it's still I do prefer hearing somebody else's rather than my own. And I don't know how to make my own sleep tape in the way that she does, adding the stuff behind it. I mean, I literally just recorded it. Saying, I'm not getting evicted, I get to stay. I just kept repeating that. Oh no, my ring light died. But anyways, I just kept repeating that over and over again. And then I would just listen to that whenever. There was nothing behind it. But, absolutely you could do sleep tapes, subliminals, rampages from whoever you like to listen to. I really like Dylan James' 10-minute baddie energy meditation. It's not really like a meditation per se, but it's just affirmations. And that's how I kind of upgraded my self-concept in the past. It also helped with my anxiety and stuff like that. My ring light died, so I came in my bedroom to finish the video. But you might even hear people say that you have to feel your affirmations for them to work, and that's not true. You do not. You don't need emotion, you don't need to visualize, and you don't even need to believe it right away. What actually reprograms your mind is repetition. Saying the new story over and over until your subconscious accepts it as true. That is what reprograms your beliefs, your assumptions, is the repetition. But again, robotic affirming is exactly what it sounds like, repeating your affirmations with zero emotion. You're not trying to feel something. You're not visualizing or forcing belief. You're simply repeating. Think of it like brainwashing, but in the best possible way. When you say, I'm loved, I'm chosen, money flows easily to me over and over again, you're teaching your subconscious that this is your new normal. The key is consistency, the consistency of being. So who are you being? And when you're affirming for your new story, you are that version of yourself at that moment. So the same way you once accepted limiting beliefs by hearing or thinking them repeatedly, you override them by repeating new empowering ones. I could not get that word out and I don't know why. And I actually do want to get a little bit more into the science behind it, actually. So let's get into what's actually happening in your brain. Your subconscious mind operates on autopilot, the default mode that I like to talk about a lot. It controls about 95% of your daily thoughts, reactions, and behaviors. And it's programmed through repetition and familiarity, not logic or reason. Neuroplasticity, I talk about this every so often, but every time you think a thought, you fire neurons in your brain. And when you repeat that thought, those neurons wire together. Over time, it becomes automatic a belief, which I'm pretty sure I talked about. The RAS, the reticular activating system, I have talked about this a few times, but probably not as often as I should. This part of your brain filters what you notice and pay attention to. When you keep affirming something, your RAS starts finding proof of it in your reality. So when you affirm, I'm confident, then your brain begins noticing moments that match that identity, and it reinforces it even more. And then cognitive dissonance. Now, this is... Okay, well, let me explain it first, and then Okay, so at first, your old beliefs and your new affirmations clash. So right now you have a set identity, a set belief about maybe, me and SP aren't together. And then you start affirming me and SP are together. Okay, so your old belief and then your new affirmations clash, and that's normal. The brain doesn't like conflicting information, but as you persist, the subconscious resolves that dissonance by accepting the repeated thought as truth. So even if you don't feel it, the science shows your brain still absorbs it. Feeling is optional. Repetition is what does the rewiring. But with the cognitive dissonance, that is kind of what happens when you are... Okay, sorry. I got cat hair in my nose because I was playing with Poppy before I started this video again. But, okay, so when you start persisting in a new version of yourself, choosing a new identity, and choosing new thoughts, right now you have a set belief about me and SP aren't together, and you're affirming me and SP are together. You might experience certain things. You might experience what you perceive as opposite in the 3D. It's not even the opposite. It's just that the two stories, you don't really... The old story is still dominant while you're persisting in the new story, making that one dominant. And then you might experience the opposite. It's not really the opposite. But you know what I'm saying. I made a video about, receiving the opposite and stuff. But that's normal, because right now you have a set belief already and you're persisting in a new one, and they might just merge and clash, and that's okay. That's normal. It's cognitive dissonance. So just keep going, keep persisting in that new assumption and those new affirmations until they become dominant, okay? Okay. I know I talked about saturation a little bit, but saturation takes robotic affirming a little bit deeper. It means completely immersing yourself in your new story. You could do it mentally, verbally, you could do it visually. pretty much until there's no room for the old one anymore. And that's why I like saturating my mind, because I leave no room for the old story to come into play. You're not just saying affirmations once or twice, you're looping them in your mind while you shower, you drive, you cook, you scroll, you go to sleep. You're surrounding yourself with reminders that match your new identity. And this constant mental saturation tells your subconscious, this is who I am now. And because your reality always reflects your dominant state, the external world must reflect it. It has to. It's the law. So the way I like to do it is I'm going to pick like 1 to 3 simple affirmations. It's usually just one, because honestly, one affirmation is just the easiest for me to repeat in my head over and over again. But don't overcomplicate it. Just choose ones that feel natural to repeat all day. You could do maybe, I'm the version of me that has it all. Like, I'm the version of myself that already has it. Everything always works out for me. It's already mine. And then just repeat them throughout the day, out loud in your head, or you can whisper them under your breath. Think of it like a background loop. The same way a song gets stuck in your head, except this time it's your new identity. You can ignore feelings or resistance, because you're really, like, you're not supposed to feel anything. You're retraining your brain, not chasing emotion. So you don't have to feel it. And then resistance means the old story is being rewritten. That's a good sign, because resistance is simply the opposing thoughts you get from your ego, and your ego is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you in your comfort zone because it's afraid of the unknown, of the unseen. So it just kind of keeps you with what you're familiar with, your current identity. So if you get that resistance, all right, cool, great. That's going to tell me that it's working. You can also saturate your environment. So you can, this is not something you have to do, but you can use sticky notes, wallpapers. You can remind yourself with like voice notes. Fill your world with your new story until it's absolutely fucking unavoidable. It's not something you have to do, though. It's just an option. But just stop forcing emotion and start repeating your new story like it's already true. Robotic, affirming, and saturation are how you become the new version of yourself. That's how I've always done it anyways. Not through effort or emotion. Not trying to force myself to believe. But through consistent repetition until the subconscious has no choice but to believe it. Okay, the brain learns what it hears most. So talk to it until it agrees with you. But something else. No, there was one more thing I was going to say. What was it? Crap. Hold on. Something else people do is they do allow the very logical ego part of their mind to come into play way too often. They're constantly trying to figure out the when, the how. Any logical thing about manifestation, and manifestation is not logical, but I will get a lot of people on like my TikTok lives, my comments, telling me that they just don't see how this can happen. Okay, I didn't see how I could heal my neck like in the past either. And I recently just healed another health issue like this a few days ago. I noticed that I healed another health issue. But the thing about that is I wasn't focused on how is this going to happen? How is this going to work? How am I actually going to, I didn't know. I just told myself that no, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I was in pain from it, like daily since for the past few months. And I was supposed to have surgery on it. And, the scheduling kept getting postponed, removed, rescheduled, and I was just over it. And then by the time that I went back to the appointment, they just said they couldn't do it at that time. So I was like, fuck it. I kind of just went home and I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm over it. I should have done this months ago, but I was just thinking that I was going to get surgery and it would be fixed and resolved. But, the pain that I would experience, instead of telling myself, oh, it's getting worse, I would tell myself, the hurting means healing. I'm hurting because I'm healing. And that's what I started telling myself. And I just kind of decided that I'm not doing it anymore, that I want it to go away. Like my logical mind, I was like, fuck you, get out of my head. Like, I don't want to deal with it. This is something I'm choosing the version of myself that no longer has to experience this, and I stuck with it. So anytime I did experience the pain, I just simply told myself the hurting means I'm healing. It was very frustrating. I'm not going to lie. It was very fucking frustrating. But then I just noticed a couple days ago that it was gone. The mass was gone because I needed to get the mass removed, but it was gone. The pain's gone. Everything's fucking fine, dude. It's gone, and I manifested that. But I stopped worrying about, how is it going to happen? How's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? It doesn't matter. I decided it's going to happen, so it's going to happen. I don't care how. I don't care when. It's just going to happen. But I had got so used to the pain that it just kind of became a normal thing for me to experience. So when the pain did dissolve and go away, I wasn't even like aware for I don't even know how long ago it's actually been since it went away. But I just know the past few days when I noticed it that it did, like, it's gone and it's amazing. But people definitely allow their logical minds to get in the way too much. Please stop. You're not going to be able to figure out the how and the when. You're just going to drive yourself crazy. Another thing a lot of people do is they'll be like, this happened and I'm trying to figure out what thoughts I was thinking for this to have manifested. Don't. You're going to drive yourself crazy. I've experienced that too. Like, something happened in my reality and I'm like, but what was I thinking for this to happen? You don't have to be thinking a certain thought for something to manifest. You could have a belief around it, and then that's what's reflecting. You might not be thinking. So let's say SP, breaks up with you. Of course, we've created this. Anything in our reality that is showing up for us in the 3D, we have created in the 4D first, and then it gets reflected into the 3D. So let's say SP breaks up with you and you're thinking, but I wasn't thinking he was going to break up with me. Okay. You might have a belief that your relationships never work out, that people always leave you, they never stay, they always find somebody better. You might have a belief around that, and that's why it's shown up, even if you weren't thinking, oh, he's going to leave me, he's going to leave me. You just might have some kind of assumption and belief around it that indicated that they were going to leave you. But yeah, stop trying to figure it out. And just change your assumptions. Just tell yourself, okay, well, I'm assuming something to be true. I'm going to take it as feedback, and I'm going to take it as I simply need to switch my assumptions from, oh, he left me, to no, he would never leave me. He loves me. He would never do anything to hurt me. We're back together, and our relationship is stable and secure. And, just switch your assumptions. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to be all logical about it, because you're just going to drive yourself nuts at the end of the day. I promise. I think that's it for this one, though. I think that pretty much sums it up. Robotic, affirming, saturation, my favorite methods. It's what I still do. It's probably what I'll always do. But the more also that you gain faith and trust in yourself with every manifestation that you receive, you realize that you don't have to do it as much as you've done it in the past. Like with my eviction, it took me 2 months of saturating my mind, right? Yeah, it definitely doesn't take that long for me now. Like, at all. It definitely, maybe a week at the most is what it takes for me. Like, days. I get my shit in days. I get my shit the same day now. So, like, the more you do it, the less time it takes. Because you just start creating the belief in yourself that, yeah, you can get your shit quickly and easily. It doesn't have to take a long time. You don't have to work hard for the things you want. You just start choosing this new version of yourself where it's easy for you, where everything is easy for you, and you're just like this master manifester. And those are also really great affirmations. I'm a master manifester. I get everything I want quickly and easily. Manifesting is just so easy for me. Life is just so easy in general. Like, life is easy. Everything always works out for me. I always get what I want. Everything I desire is already mine. Like, whatever you want to affirm. But anyways, I got off track again. Tends to happen. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's about it. Just, keep it simple. Think in your favor. Like, I'm serious. Think in your favor. That's what I gotta do. Anyways, yeah. If you feel like you need one-on-one coaching, my link is in the bio. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, because this does help me get out to other people who may be, looking more into the law and need a little bit of help themselves. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.